Welcome to Vibrant Numerals. In this video, we're going to talk about the numerical vibrations of July 2025. I'm Elizabeth, and I help spiritual practitioners and number enthusiasts apply numerology to their practice and to their everyday life. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. So now here in July, we are finally getting to the point where we're able to take some action. So we are in the year 2025 where we have these endings that are occurring. And we're needing to let things end. We have gone through and we've allowed this new energy to come in January. We have looked at the extremes to figure out how we can bring those together and couple and make something new in February. We have made some big growth moves in March. We have built new foundations and examined foundations for any weaknesses in April, and we've made big, huge changes in May. And in June, we have examined our comfort zones. So now we have done all this work, so we are able to take advantage of this energy of 7 here in July. And so this 7 in July is coming from a 16. So first of all, talking about this 7 a little bit, 7 is this, it's said a lot of times in many cultures and traditions that this number 7 is of perfection. And it feels like perfection and can seem like perfection. Not saying that it's not, but it feels that way and we experience it that way because this is a perfect blend of the masculine and feminine energy. This is where now we're taking action, that masculine action energy, but we're taking action in flow. So if we've used these previous months to really get into the flow of this energy, now we're able to take action in that same stream of energy and those same vibrations to be able to take intentional actions here in July. The only thing we have to recognize is that this 7 is coming from 16. And so it relies on the examination of those comfort zones that we should have done in June very highly. So if that hasn't been done, that's the first step, is to examine your comfort zones and understand which of your comfort zones you really need to get rid of, you need to break down and release, and which comfort zones you need to create or build up so that it can help you get to a point of ending. If you've done that, and once you've done that, now this new energy of the 1 is able to come in and push you to the 7 of being able to take action and flow. The other thing is that this 16 in the tarot is represented by the Tower. So this flow and this movement of the 7 is happening around us, and we can choose to get in the flow and be able to move with it. But just like the Tower, it could sweep us away whether we want to be in the flow or not. So we could try and resist the flow of that vibration, like trying to walk up the river. We can do that, but it's very likely that just like the Tower, it's going to push us in the direction it wants us to go anyway. So much better to recognize that this is happening, jump in that flow, take some actions in flow, don't force your action, and be able to use this energy to manifest some great things. So July is both the 7 within this monthly cycle, but it's also promoting the 7 within the 9 cycles that it has in its month. So you want to use these individual 7 or the individual 9 cycles in the month of July to help push forward any of those action and flow that you really want to take. Now we've had, this is our third month where we have these 3 9 cycles that we can utilize. So you want to really be intentional and strategic about how you're using these smaller 9 cycles within the month. So this is 9 days in the month, so a little bit over a week that you can use to be able to push some of these action and flows forward for you. So on any of these 1 days, you can use that to pull in this new energy that you want to take action on. So what is this new area? What is this new energy? What is this small step? Because these 9 cycles during the month are really smaller steps to the bigger goals. Um, Draw that in. Examine the extremes, that too, and make sure that they are brought together so that you're not creating 2 separate paths in a dualistic way, but you're creating one strong path forward. Make sure that you are growing that strong path so it's very strong, because then that 3 will go into the 4 of making sure it has a sound foundation. If you don't grow it big enough, now it can't have a strong foundation. And you need that foundation to have change at the 5. And then examine, where are the gaps? Where is it uncomfortable? To be able to make those changes. And then when you get to the 7th day within this 9 cycle, now this is really when you can capitalize on focusing on what are the actions in flow you want to take. You could test them out a little bit on this day and really see how you can fine tune them. Then you can create a cycle, create a system that's repetitive for this to be able to continue to happen. So you want to be able to take the action and then have it work for you. And then make sure that you are ending that cycle so that there's an entryway for more new energy to come in. And so you can use these 3 9 cycles together to really propel forward any of this action in flow that you want to take for July. And if your goal for July is big enough where you can use all 3 of these 9 cycles for that, that's great. That's actually going to really help push it forward. And if the goal for July is even bigger, related to the bigger goal of the year, now you can really take a lot of action to propel those goals forward, primarily into September, and then being able to test out your new cycle or your new whatever that new energy is that you're trying to allow in with the ending. You can do that once we hit October. So there are portal days for July, and on these portal days, it's just that the energy is moving faster. And because it's moving faster, it's behaving kind of like a little whirlpool. And so then you can use that to either be like a toilet bowl where you can flush things down and out of your life, or you can use it where it's sucking up and into your life. And so, use the portal days with your 9 cycles to really help you get into the action of flow. So the portal days would really be good to help you examine if you're in the flow, where do things feel choppy, what kind of energy can you draw in, what adjustments can be made easier on these days so that you're in flow and you're taking action within that flow. So use these portal days to be able to again, just like your 9 cycles, to propel forward your goals for July. And really taking action in flow, making sure you're in flow, taking action. So in July, there is a lot of movement happening in this important astrology. And if you'd like to get the channeled message from me on this astrology, make sure you sign up for the Oracle 56 newsletter with the link below. But we can see Venus is moving twice in July. At the beginning of July, it's moving into Gemini, and then by the end of July, it's moving into Cancer. And so, for any of you Geminis, really this is interesting because it will be in like Cancer season. And so, for any of you Geminis, just recognize that Venus is really going to be pulling in a lot of the Cancer energy and making sure you understand how that's jiving with you because you all sit right next to each other. So, there's a lot of this movement that's happening. So, there's a lot of flow in the vibrations. And so then this makes it even more important that you're getting in the flow with the actions that you're taking. Another thing that's happening is this is retrograde season. So in July, we already have Pluto in retrograde. At the beginning of July, we have Neptune going into retrograde. Mid-July, we have Saturn going into retrograde and Mercury going into retrograde. And then at the end of the month, we have Chiron going into retrograde. And so we need to just remember that retrograde just means that those energies are turned inward. And so, as you're trying to take action in flow, you have to be aware of where that flow is going. If that flow is reversing and moving in an inward pattern instead of an outward pattern, that could change a little bit the action that you need to take to really be in flow. So, you need to be very aware of when this is happening. And one of the things that you could do is just make sure that you understand the internal connection, the internal impact, the internal input that is going into your action. So making sure that you're acknowledging that all of these planets are in retrograde and it's turning energy inward. You can still take action outward, but you want to at least acknowledge or start with that energy inward so then you can move outward. So that will help you be into the flow that you need to be to take these actions. And then the last thing is there's a lot happening with Venus. So we've seen a lot of Venus energy starting at the very beginning of this year in January, and every month Venus is having some very strong aspects. And Mercury. So Venus and Mercury have had very strong aspects since the beginning of the year. And so we need to recognize what these energies are doing, how they're contributing to the energies of July 2025, how they're contributing to the flow. Because Mercury, being the planet of communication, is a lot outward. Except when it goes retrograde, now it's inward. So it's more inward communication, self talk. But then Venus is more of the attracting in. And so there'll be some interesting things happening where Venus moves into Gemini, where Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So these energies are going to be interplaying with each other a little bit more than usual. So we need to be aware of that. And then along with these retrogrades really could amplify that Venus energy of attracting inward. So you may want to have at least some, if not all, or a lot of your actions in flow being a lot about attracting in. So you're using that Venus energy and you're also using the retrograde energy. And then if you can connect that to also these bigger goals for the year of ending in 2025. So what can you attract in that'll help push out the old and end the old? That's going to be huge. We also, at the end of July, have another one of these chasmies where we have a planet conjunct with the sun, and this time it's Mercury. But at this point, Mercury will be in retrograde, so it's amplifying that internal communication. It's amplifying any of those miscommunications with yourself. Really make sure that you are paying attention on this day to how you are self-talking, how your definitions of things could be impacting what's happening around you, especially if it's impacting your action in flow. Thank you for being here with me to chat about the numerical vibrations of July 2025. To get that channeled message about July 2025, make sure you go below and sign up for the Oracle 56 newsletter. I also have my numerical calculations, my numerology calculations guide that is below, and that's for free. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and hit the notification bell so you can get notified for my next video. Thanks. Bye.